Today I'm reviewing a book. The title of the book is The Girl with the Loud Voice and is by Abi Daré. This is an amazing book in itself, and then it is an amazing book in the way it fits into the program that we're having next week. As you know, next week, Saturday, we are having a live streaming of Coffee with Temi, where we're going to be talking about gender-based violence. And this book is just full of it. When I was reading it, I actually didn't notice it. I didn't notice it. I didn't know that, oh, that's so bad. Oh, that shouldn't have happened. Then when I sat down to review it, I'm like, oh my word, this is what this book is all about. Let me introduce you to the characters in the book. This is you can see my smile. I want to tell you everything in the book, but obviously I can't, or else you're not going to read it. So the girl with the loud voice is Adunni. Her loud voice is simply, she was not going to be silent. She had something to say, and she was going to say it no matter what it was going to cost. She was willing to fight for her life. She was willing to fight for her freedom. She was willing to fight to be heard. Adunni lived with her father and two brothers, one older, one younger. Her mother died not too long ago. She's a 14-year-old turning 15. Remember this, because it's so very important, that age, 14 turning 15. In the village where she lived, unfortunately, when you are that age, you're taken out of school and you're married off to someone. Worse, if your parents don't have money, which is what happened to Adunni. Her parents didn't have money. Well, her father didn't have money, wasn't willing to work, and it turns out once Adunni's mother died, despite his promise to her that he will not take Adunni out of the school, he took her out of school, and it got to a point where he couldn't even afford to pay the rent. So one afternoon, lo and behold, he says to Adunni, you're getting married in a week's time to Morufu. Morufu is a taxi driver, already had 2 wives at home, but he was able to pay the bride price, which was like, well, the bride price turned out to be the rent for where they were living, because Adunni's father didn't have money. Same way he didn't have money to send Adunni to school when the mother died. She didn't want to. Everything in her rebelled against getting married at that age to any man. It didn't matter that Morufu was already married. But unfortunately, her father had already collected some of the money, started spending some of the bride price, and she felt if she didn't do this, her family will starve, and they would have starved because the father wasn't doing anything except drinking. And she was more worried, especially for Keyus, who was a brother. So she married Morufu, and her life didn't get easy. It didn't get any easier from there because Labaka, the first wife, didn't want anybody in her home. The second wife, Khadija, had also been sold, really sold, for 5 tins of rice so our family could eat. Didn't have a wedding, didn't do anything. Morufu gave the father 5 tins of rice so they could cook, and the father handed over the girl. There was just so many instances of gender-based violence. As you know, it comes in different ways. The characters in this book show us that it didn't matter your status in life. It didn't matter whether you were young or old, whether you were rich or poor. In fact, even whether you're educated, you can still experience gender-based violence. Adunni's husband raped her almost every day that she was married to him. Khadija had 3 children for the husband, all girls. Labake had a girl, had a girl as well. The husband wanted a boy. That was why he married Adunni. Khadija was pregnant when Adunni got into the home, and it was she was living there based only on the promise or on the prayer that she would have a boy because she was pregnant. What she had to do to stay in that home, that is Khadija, what she had to do to stay in that home so that her parents would not suffer, so that they will have something to eat, because Morufu was still giving them food, just so that she would say, but she accepted this as her lot. This is my lot, this is what I have to do for my family so that they will survive. We find Khadija and Adunni becoming close. The closeness helped, and then in the end, it was also what will be the end of them as it is. Adunni was saved. She found saviors. I'll call them that. At different times of her life, she was saved by Iya, who was her mother's friend before the mother died. Iya used practically her last breath to save Adunni. Unknown to her, she was putting Adunni into another situation entirely. And then we find Adunni in Lagos. Lagos, Lagos, Lagos. I miss my Lagos. I could see the streets as they were painted by Abi Daré. I could hear the sound. And Abi took us into the private lives of the rich. Maybe not famous, but of the rich. And as the book goes on, you see, again, like I said, you don't have to be poor. You don't have to be uneducated. You don't have to be young to be a victim of gender-based violence. And it comes out in different ways, in different forms. Adunni finds more saviors again in Lagos, but everything came at a price. We read about Rebecca, the girl that was before Adunni. Again, another story there. There is Big Madam. There is Miss Tia. Yes, there's Miss Tia. There is Baby Love, Caroline. There's so many women in this story, in this book. I mean, it's just 300 pages. There's so many women in this book. Sophisticated, educated, rich, poor. And really, when you look at it, they actually are all going through the same thing without realizing it. And if it had been pointed out to them, they still would not have seen that their lives might be better because they have money, for example, than Adunni in that sense. But really, the problem was the same, but in a different way. So you really need to read it. And if you can read this book before Saturday, that would be really nice. I kind of doubt it if all of you will be able to. But this is a really, really good book. This book reminds me of two other books that I read last year. His Only Wife and Stay With Me. Even as I'm thinking about those books, I want to cry. They were so quietly passionate. Can be correctly passionate? I don't know. But they're books that, as a woman, when you read it, you don't know whether to cry, whether to get up and beat the person. But these are absolutely wonderful authors. I am so glad to read them and to hear them because I can hear their voice. I hear Adunni, and I'm glad that her Loudon voice was not silenced. She was very feisty. She was very loud, and I'm glad that she kept finding saviors and she was rescued. Am I giving that away now? Well, she kept getting rescued from one point to the other. The path was not smooth. Her path definitely was not smooth. But yeah, read it. It's The Girl with the Loudon Voice by Abi Daré. I'll see you next week. Bye for now.